Okay, so welcome. I finally have settled on which painting I want to start on next. And in order to do that, I need to test something. So in one of my videos where I talked about something that I use is a masking fluid. Now I know how it works really well on paper, but I've never actually used it on a canvas. So I am going to cut a piece of this off. And just because, for uniformity's sake, I'm just going to go ahead and cut a long strip off. I'm going to set that off to the side. So I might have already shared that I've got a sketch. Oops, here, hold on. Might help if I... Oh, and the upside down thing. So I've got a sketch of what I want my round image to be. I want to be able to mask out these shapes so that I can paint the background separately from the actual standing stones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, and again, my apologies that this is going to really be upside down for you. I still have yet to kind of figure out here. Hold on, let me get this zoomed in so you can really get a good image here. And I think it's because I'm missing one of my lights. I didn't turn it on. Let's try that. So I'm just going to kind of draw basic, nothing really fancy image. I'm going to shake up. So I might mention that, see the bottom is super yellow. That means that some of the masking fluid, it's not been shaken up properly. And you want to make sure that that kind of bright yellow is gone off the bottom. So as you can see, that's kind of now gone. So I'm going to open this up, grab one of my paint brushes. There we go. So I've got just kind of a basic paintbrush, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to see if I can, it's all foamy and I can't tell from shaking it up. I can't tell if this is, I can't tell where the liquid starts and the foam begins. So my paintbrush is awfully looking kind of foamy. So I'm going to just kind of mask this off. Around my lines, make sure those are masked, get that up there. All right, now here's the exciting part. Paint gets to dry. So I'm going to pause this and then I'll come back once that's dried up. Okay, so what I want you to see is that this is dry. I can kind of rub my hand across it. Now what you're seeing is the graphite is coming off. And we're going to test it out by adding, I've got some kind of basic liquid, this is just a kind of a basic brand liquid watercolor. I'm going to set that there. Nothing really in particular in mind. Except that I haven't prepped these lids, so these lids don't want to come off. So nothing super fancy. I'm just going to kind of wash over this. Hold on. Okay, so just so you know, I have this, I'm going to show you this. I have this big, gigantic commercial sprayer that I use versus a lot of times over a over using get that in there. I don't really care what color that turns out to be because that's not the purpose of this. This is just kind of a test. Rinse my brush off. Again, because I just want to kind of test it out. Because my goal, I guess I'll show you this, is that my goal is to be able to take this, mask out the stones, come in and paint this, okay, so my kind of my foreground, if you will, into my background. This is going to be a series of greens, and I want to be able to lay that in, and then I want to be able to come in and then lay in across the top the sky, and then be able to, once that's all dried and I have that exactly the way I want it, I want to be able to come back in, and now I want to be able to peel off the masking tape, this artist mask, so that I can now come in and paint the stones. Now a little bit about the reason why I'm testing some of this and kind of the way that I paint. I don't paint typically the way that most people do. So I want you to see that I can kind of come in here and I'm able to already peel off. Okay, awesome. Now I can see that some of this went through, but that's because I played with the mask beforehand. So I can now at least see that I know that I can apply this mask. I'm just going to have to make sure that I apply a really good coat in order to be able to make sure that none of the paint seeps through the mask. That's because I was testing this very quickly. So I am therefore then very excited. The other thing that I get to do while we are in between now and then is I need to figure out how to mount my camera so that you're able to see things over, kind of like over my shoulder, if you will, so that you're not seeing everything upside down. That's kind of crazy. So that's my next problem to solve. So that I can make this a bit more enjoyable for you, because I'm pretty sure, I know it would drive me nuts to see things upside down all the time. So I hope that this kind of gives you an idea like what the art masking fluid does, but the fact that this is just a little test swatch, and from this test swatch it tells me that, one, I needed to do a better layer of the art masking fluid than what I did. And then that will actually take care of my problem. And also, I started playing with it to test it to make sure it was dry. So I started rubbing off the masking fluid in the process of doing that, which is why I'm seeing some of this. The places that I left alone are white. And I also learned that my pencil that I'm using is a bit excessive as well, because it's going to want to come off. So what I'm going to do is I'm most likely going to grab one of my watercolor pencils and use it to sketch out instead of a graphite pencil. So that's kind of like, again, my little sketch. I don't normally sketch out stuff like this. I do usually use a watercolor pencil to do that. But for this purposes, this works out just fine. So thank you so much for watching. I hope this helps you kind of see how you can test things out. You want to use the actual material you're using. If you're using paper, you want to have some small pieces cut out that you can use to test out what you want to try before you go ahead and put it on a full-size piece or on the piece that you're actually working on. There's nothing worse than ruining what you are working on because you wanted to try something new on your actual piece. It can be a challenge. So thank you. I hope you have a wonderful time today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.